Hi, this is John Ondo from Marketing Media and Cupcakes. And before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. We're back after being gone for over 4.5 years. And I hope you get a chance to listen to episode 77, where we explain why we were gone for so long and that we're back for at least 3 more episodes. Angel and I are big supporters of entrepreneurship, and we love small businesses and faith-based businesses. And we just want to encourage you through our podcast each week. What's going to determine if we continue with more episodes will be the response. Subscribe to us on your platform. Send us an email at john@ondomedia.com. That would help us know you're listening and you want more episodes. So thank you so much, and let's get into today's episode. There has been an upspin on Marketing Media and Cupcakes since we began this. I was just kind of expecting it to be the normal. We're always picking up new people, but it has really picked up since we began this series and said, oh, we're talking about fear. They're like, oh my gosh, I've got to get on your show to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's a big topic for us.
This is the small business podcast that is sweeter than all the rest. Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes.
Can you learn from a business failure? We have a trombone section on today's show. We're very excited about it. Hi, I'm John. Along with me is my beautiful wife, Angel.
Hi there.
And we're going to talk about what happens after you have a failure. Can you build from that and have a success from a failure? And with us is our good friends, Terry and Renee Dismore.
Hi.
Yay!
They have been with us before, and we've brought them back because they're going to share with us today about...
Because we're cheap entertainment.
That's exactly right.
And they're going to share wisdom with us about what they went through with a failure and that it's turned into a good thing, because things can turn into good things. So
things can turn into good things?
Things can turn into good things.
You mean failure can turn into good things?
Failure can turn into good things. And good things can turn into good things.
Even better things?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yes, maybe.
We've had a lot of things happening, and on top of the fact that these two have their own business, Terry and I are working together with the Premier Podcast, which is what our show is a production of, by the way, because we're working with that. And Terry is, a radio veteran. And then Nay is the owner of
Snacks with a Twist.
And if I could shove a pretzel through the microphone into your ear right now that you could eat, that would be disgusing.
Yeah,
it would be gross.
But you would go, this is the most just delicious pretzel. Because tell us some of the pretzel flavors. I was going to say seasonings, but flavors you do.
Well, we have cinnamon, zesty ranch, fiesta taco, and chipotle cube barbecue.
Oh, it's great stuff. So
it's good with the beer too.
So
just saying.
That's what what they do. The thing that we've had, in the years we've known Terry and Renee is whenever we go out and have dinner with them, which is a blast. But whenever we go out to eat, Nay always takes a sample of her pretzels and gives them to the server. And I always see so many people just light up when they see that, because they don't expect it. You're just giving me this, and even when we had dinner before the show today, the server was just blown away by that, and you could tell it's fun. It's fun to just do those little
well, Angel, it's kind of like when we come to your house. I made the comment a while ago upstairs that when we come to your house, it feels like home.
Yes,
you're a reason for that.
Aw.
Well, you are. So I mean, there's always something freshly baked.
I have hot flashes, and I just give off warmth.
That's true. I'm going to say it's a little steamy on the left side. She's sitting to my left. It's hot over there.
That's what happens.
I shouldn't say that. It's your wife, isn't it? Right?
Well, she's hot, so that's okay. I don't mind that at all.
So but don't you find that people find it a little more homey when you go into a place and there's a cake or cookies or something?
Always. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think that's, again, one of my favorite things. And Nay always brings me something every time she sees me. I mean, I always am like, oh my God, she got me something. So,
and she literally, it's annoying when she does that. She says, oh my God.
Yeah.
You stop that?
Okay. Yeah, I will stop that.
No, I love it.
Since 2020 has begun, we have been talking about fear, and that's been something that has been on my heart for a long time, that I think people live in fear. We live in fear, and there is a good fear. There's a fear that if I go 90 miles an hour, I will get, pulled over. Yeah, I'll get a ticket, and that's good fear, I suppose.
Or a coupon.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of people who, especially all of us around the table here today, we all have small businesses. And there's always that person you tell somebody, I started a small business, and they go, how did you do that? I'd be scared of this, or I'd be scared of that. Mm-hmm. And you realize, and all those things are true. I am scared of making a tragic mistake, and I am scared of this and that and the other thing. But ultimately, I had to overcome that fear to start the business. You guys had to overcome a fear to start a business. So we wanted to talk about fear in the sense of, especially to encourage small businesses and big businesses. If people are sitting here and they're thinking, I'm thinking I should do this, how to get over it. And get going.
Well, right. Well, let's define fear first.
Let's do
what
that.
Fear is, and so the way that I look at fear is faith in a bad outcome. Mm-hmm. So that you're assured that you're going to do it. Most of the time, our fears are unfounded, meaning they have no foundation, and they are typically overblown. They are way bigger than we think than they actually turn out to be. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, fear gives you the same reaction. Your body has the same reaction to an imagined fear that it would to a real fear. So you still go through the same amount of stress, but there's no benefit to it other than it's frightening.
So can you give me that definition again of fear?
Okay, so fear is faith in a bad outcome.
Okay.
And most of us will know what faith is, whether we're people of faith or not. We know that we expect a bad outcome to happen. So if you watch anything political, anything medical on TV, anything that has to do with your children on TV or radio, it's based on fear. Now, why is that? It gets your attention. Mm-hmm. Why does it get your attention? Because people live in a fearful mindset.
Oh, so you've blown my whole marketing idea with doing the Fear as a series this year. Then we'll get fabulous, downloads on this.
Well, I teach about it a lot, and Nay has to hear me talk a lot about fear. But I've got a question for you and Angel.
Okay.
So what scares you? What's your biggest fear that has to do with your business?
Well, my business, I'm probably turning it more into a hobby than a real business, since my true work is what brings home the bacon. And I've said I don't ever want to depend on the mortgage being a batch of cupcakes. So you had mentioned in a previous podcast, it's like making goals. I think we had talked about, what do you really want your business to be? And is it a hobby or is it a business?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my fears, is truly making it a business. Mm-hmm. That is my biggest fear. And if you unpack the fear, it's all money. My fear, number one, throughout history, is losing what I have, losing what I've worked for, losing everything. And that's financially, that's structure, it's everything. So for me, it's all money. That's what I'm most afraid of, is losing that.
Okay, how about you? And I'm going somewhere with this.
Well, very similar. I mean, all business, all life is a roller coaster. You have your ups and you have your downs, and we plan for some of that. But the biggest fear is, I know I got next month, okay, and next month I've got business plan. But what happens when June hits, and if that phone doesn't ring, and you have a catastrophe of 2 or 3 months with no income, and you can't recover from that. It's like an airplane in a tailspin. You can't fix that. And that's always been that fear in the back of my head, is what happens if we hit that streak.
Okay, how about you, Nate? What's your biggest fear?
Oh, gosh. I don't really sit around and think about anything like that. I really don't.
So, and I'll tell you why our answers are going to be different than yours, is because we've thought about it a lot. We've had a couple of pretty major failures in our lives financially, and so we faced things that you've feared but you haven't faced. Mm-hmm. You understand what I mean?
Yep.
I don't mean that to belittle anybody.
No,
it's
not
like
at all.
you've
That makes sense.
But it's different when you face it and you've moved on from it.
Yeah.
Because it's like sickness. Mm-hmm. I mean, we faced that early in our marriage.
Yeah.
First week, we're signing wills.
no reason to wait around.
I know. Listen, so you get over a lot of different things when you have faced whatever it is that is a fear.
The proverbial baptism by fire.
Right.
When you get through it, it wasn't so
that
bad,
makes
or I
sense.
figured it out. Yeah.
Well, and like with your husband that passed away.
Yes.
He was. I mean, what a fear that had to be. But now you look at it and go, well, I didn't like that at all, but I made it through. And I made it through with my kids intact. My, that part of your family was intact.
Yep.
And Brian's not here, but he's still in your heart. You still think about him. You've married a man here that understands that, takes that into account. So that's not a fear you have to face anymore. Usually our fears are based on what we're afraid might happen instead of what actually will happen. And the second thing is we're afraid of the next level. So most of the times the problems and the difficulties that you face in life are the problems and difficulties of your next level. And this kind of makes sense once you think about why would you be worried about something you've already been through?
Well, that's true.
Yeah, because you know what to expect.
Yeah. And I mean,
fear it's the unknown.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
How am I going to react? How are other people going to react? Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But now when you've gone through it,
Well, and we've talked about this a couple times, and I want to ask you guys of this. One of the things I think we have in our culture is failure is such the F word now.
Yeah.
And, I always use a sports analogy. In baseball, you have a good batter hits 3 out of
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
So you fail, 7 times out of 10. Well, that's just life. But yet in the culture today, it seems like if you fail once, you're done.
Yeah.
You should have never been allowed to lead that company. You shouldn't have been allowed to do this and that. You should have never failed. It seems to be what the level we set nowadays. On a cultural level, from the president to CEOs, Tesla, and all those. Like, oh, you messed up. You should be fired.
Yeah.
So is that part of, how do you guys look at that? Is that part of the reason that we look at failure as we shouldn't even have a failure when really, in fact, failures are good for us, aren't they?
Yes, they are. We learn so much from a failure if we take the time to step back and look at it. We're all going to fail in something that we don't always do correctly. And when we realize what we can learn from that, then we can take that and we can soar then.
Yeah.
How'd you get into this? And obviously you didn't get into this thinking, this is probably going to fail. You probably thought this was going to be a great idea to do a transition.
Well, and so what happened was I was doing a radio show in Louisville from Columbus. I was interviewing a insurance guy down there, and I would ask him questions, and I was not an expert on that. So we were doing pretty well. He was getting some leads off that, selling $30,000-$40,000 a month in income for him off that radio show, which was darn good.
Not bad.
So a friend of mine at church asked me one day what I was doing, and I said, well, I'm still doing the consulting for car dealerships and radio stations, and now I'm doing a financial planning radio show. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I've just become part of an insurance company, and we're doing thus and so. And could you help us? And I said, I don't know. So we looked into it. And Nay and I and our friends Mark and Laura were the other side of this. We all went out to a meeting in Sacramento, and we sat there and listened to it, and it was really good, and it was interesting. And I was going to be the radio. I was told I was going to be the radio guy. I was going to put together what we'd done in Louisville, since it was working quite successfully there. We were going to do it across the country. Okay, I can be part of that. That night, in our room, I literally sat up in bed crying because I'm like, I don't want to be an insurance agent. No, nothing against an insurance agent. It's just not, I don't lay at home at night dreaming of being, an insurance agent.
Sure.
I didn't.
That's not your thing.
Yeah, it wasn't what I do. And so I talked to the guy that was asking me to be a part of it the next day, and he said, we don't want you to be an insurance agent. We want you to be our radio guy. Okay, I can do that. So the financing looked to be in place. And we went into it. The first week I was there, they closed that business totally and started another one because of some disagreements higher than me.
Right.
Well, I was made a founding partner, meaning that as the business grew, I would get a portion of the profit. And I didn't have to put any money in it. I kept bringing top-level people to it. And at one point, probably 2 years, about a year into it, I had 100 people in the company that were under me, including the CEO.
Wow.
What we didn't do was wisely put plans in place. So this went on, and come to find out, the CEO was doing some things financially that he shouldn't be doing, and we lost the business. One of the plans that we didn't make was, in order to be in a position of payment in the company, you had to sell something. Mm-hmm. We have 2 cars. We had a red Flex with a white top and a light tan interior that we had believed was our car. It was a blessing from God. We wanted it. Mm-hmm. We'd gotten it, but it wasn't paid off. And on New Year's Eve of 2015, going into 2016, they came and got it.
Wow.
We lost it. Our house was in foreclosure. Wasn't the first time that had happened, but our house is in foreclosure. And February comes now, and we've lost everything. I'm a man of prayer, so I was like, okay, Lord, how do I get out of this? So after we lost the Flex, we didn't believe we were going to lose it. Well, what I found out is that our prayers had been, my prayer was, I don't want to lose it, but if we do, we'll get it back. Nay's was, we're not going to lose it in the first place. Now, that sounds like the same outcome, because that means we don't lose our vehicle, but it's disagreement. So when there's disagreement in a business, you'll find that there is, you can't go. Somebody has to make a decision of how you're going to go.
Mm-hmm. And that's why that business failed.
That is why that
there's such disagreement. And the other part is that all along, they never gave Terry the position.
Never did. I never got to be the radio guy.
Well, let me ask you real quick.
Okay, yeah.
When you're talking about disagreement, and I know one of the things that we love talking about here, and I know a lot of people who listen to our podcast are husband and wife teams. They have businesses together. Some of you maybe don't. Maybe you have a business partner.
Yeah.
And we talk about unity quite often as being a real big factor. And obviously, when you get into a situation which sounds like there was deception involved in the sense that people said things that didn't come true.
Right.
Sure.
How do you approach that? Because I could see it real easy. It's like, okay, we're done. We're never messing with this again. You know, I burnt my hand on the stove. I'm not going back.
Right.
How did you guys deal with that and bring that unity back?
I was told in my prayer life to do 3 things. And when those 3 things were done, restoration would come. The first one was to get out from under the person I was under in that particular business. And I did that. I thought, well, things will change. They did not. Second was, go downstairs and write down all the bills you owe. And it was horrendous.
Oh.
You know, we all have businesses here. We all have spreadsheets. And it was like, good Lord, is there nothing black on here? It's all red. Right? And the third thing was to leave that business. Well, I'm a founding partner. I'm the,
You're the big cheese.
Well, I'm not the big cheese, but I'm a big cheese, and I was recognized as that. And I had won the year before the single largest sale we ever had. Right. I did.
So you're scuttling the company if you leave.
I'm going to help do that.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was so. My friend that had helped me get into that business originally said, "I'm going to go do my own business. It's similar to this. Would you like to go with me?" My first thought is, knowing him, he would do it right. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, let me pray about it. Again, prayer. 2 days later. Now, you've got to remember, I have no income. I have no possibility of income, and I have no future that I know of. I don't know what's coming. So do you think fear was pretty high on my list of things? And I didn't know what was coming. But I had learned over the years that I could trust what I heard in my prayer life, and I could trust Nay. Mm-hmm. Because she would tell me things, and they would sometimes they were like, but I usually listen. Yeah, usually,
but occasionally.
Yeah,
that was at one time.
Yeah, and so 2 days later, my friend calls me. He said, "What do you think?" And I said, "The answer is no." And he's like, "But I've got a salary for you, and I've got this." I know
this looks like it could fix things.
It looks like it could fix things. I told him no. Within a week, we're going to have our cable cut off, which is how I was doing some business. Mm-hmm. That's where my internet was, and we were going to lose our other car. Mm-hmm. It was going to be hooked the next Monday. Fear is like,
can't.
Yeah, I can't. Mm-hmm. You can't imagine that.
No.
However, the next Monday, we're at the house, and my friend calls me again, and he says, "Are you sure you won't do this?" And I said, well, I'm going to think about it. I did. And I decided I was going to go to work with him. Even though in my prayer life, I'd been told no. Mm-hmm. And I'd already told nay. God said no. I didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. So that morning, she came back from the gym, and I said, I think I'm going to go to work with him. And she said, okay, but I'm going to ask you a question. Do we have to lose everything for you to listen to God? And I got mad enough that I was jumping up and down, which you all are sitting here looking at me thinking that was an athletic feat in itself. And in the middle of the second hop, I thought, this really looks stupid. It's hard on the floor, and she's right. Mm-hmm. And so I called my friend back, and I said, the answer is no. It will continue to be no, and do not ask me again. And he's a man of faith, too, and once I explained it, okay.
You got it.
Plus, it turned out that he didn't have everything that he thought he was going to have monetarily wise and all that. Nothing came together. Yep. And it would have been another bad move for Terry. Yep.
Now, the benefit of all this, the end game of all this is that afternoon, and we had no money at all. I mean, just nothing. Like I think I had, what did I say, $6.56 in the bank.
Yeah.
That was all we had. Whatever might be in the drawer, you know.
Right.
Yep.
That afternoon, the phone went ding. And I looked down, it was a $75 deposit. Somebody just sent me out of the blue for some advice that I'd given them, which I thought it was $1,000 advice, but, you know, no, I really didn't. I didn't expect it. The next morning, I got another deposit, and the next afternoon, I was able to put together a piece of software that I had been working on since December. Mm-hmm. So this is February after Valentine's Day. I'd put together a piece of software that saved a guy's business, and he rehired me. And that's where I've been working since and making a good living at it. All this goes to say it's not that we haven't faced fear, because I'm going to tell you, I don't want to face that again. Mm-mm. But I do know I can. Mm. And when you find out that you can face fear, it's not as scary.
We're talking to Terry and Nate Dismore, who are sharing their story of how they went through a difficult time, lost a business and got into a new business. So let's take this from the standpoint of people listening out there. And we all know people who they're habitual entrepreneurs. They start a business, it fails, it start again, and it's frustrating. And we get desperate. How do we avoid those desperation places? What's some of your advice from what you learned from this?
Well, one thing is to say no to what's causing the cycle. But to say no to what's causing the cycle, you have to know what's causing the cycle.
Right.
In this case, we found out, we stepped back a little bit. I had a situation many years ago, 2001. I got fired 3 times in a year. That'll wake you up.
There you go.
Yikes.
And I asked my mentor at one time, I said, Olin, what's going on? Why do I keep getting fired? And I'm thinking it is a mental, or not a mental flaw, that may be. What are you laughing at here?
I was coughing.
Deodorant, maybe, Terry?
Well, it could be. I thought that it was a character flaw of some sort, or a personality flaw of some sort. And he goes, nope. He said, you keep working for this particular kind of company. So I was working for nonprofits that were Christian-oriented nonprofits that were based on somebody wanting to do something for God. Mm-hmm. And he said, your problem is you don't want to do something for him. You want to do something with him. So when you're doing something, and that's true in any business.
Sure.
When you have a vision, if you're operating with your vision, you're moving in a particular direction. If you're doing something for your vision, you're actually moving opposite of the direction you want to.
Right. Okay.
And that fear, anytime you're moving opposite of your vision, you'll bring fear in every time. It will not fail to do that. So since I found that out, I don't fear that anymore. But I also found out that if I get into a situation where I am working for somebody like that, I understand it better. I understand why they're doing things. Because we do things, when we're doing something for something, we're doing it for a debt. And we're doing something with it, we're doing it to profit. See the difference?
Yeah. This is all great stuff. We need to talk more about because we're going to keep talking about fear. And I would be remiss if I didn't say you guys are doing great now. Life has been
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
Super duper.
So much.
And different. And we're still pursuing a vision.
Yeah.
We'll always pursue a vision.
Yes. You always should be. Because I tell you what, when you're always pursuing a vision, it's a purpose. You're always going to be moving forward.
It's always great to have Terry and Renee on. And real quick, even though we didn't talk about pretzels and snacks, tell us about the website and where people can find out more about you guys.
It's snacksbynay.com, and you can find us on Facebook with Snacks with the Twist. Snacks with the Twist on
Instagram.
There
you go.
Yay. IG for short.
Thank you.
If you have any questions about what we do and things that we have going on here, Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, and Premier Podcast, which Terry and I are working on to help people who want to have a great sounding podcast. We do the production, we do the consulting. PremierPodcast.com. That's Premier with the extra E. But until then, we continue to encourage you to keep living the dream.
Connect with John and Angel via Facebook and Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes is a production of Ondo Media.